Are you building a career you care deeply about, yet quietly wondering how children will fit into that life? For many ambitious women, that question arrives earlier than expected. Not always out loud, but somewhere in the background of everyday life. It might appear during a promotion conversation or when a colleague announces a pregnancy. The fear of regret, regret for waiting too long, or regret for starting too soon. But maybe the real question isn't whether ambitious women can have both. Maybe the real question is, suddenly the question becomes real, not theoretical and not distant, but something that may affect the path you are carefully building. Hi, I'm Elena, and today I want to talk about a pressure many ambitious women feel long before they decide to have children. It is rarely spoken about openly, but it shapes how many women think about their future. A pressure of timing. Because when you are building a career, time can feel like your most valuable asset. You invest years in education, years learning your profession, years building credibility and trust. And just as things begin to move forward, another question quietly enters the conversation. Is this also the time I should be thinking about children? And suddenly two timelines begin to exist. Your professional timeline and your personal timeline. Both important, both meaningful, but not always perfectly aligned. The pressure also comes from comparison. You see colleagues announcing promotions, buying homes, launching businesses, traveling the world. At the same time, your social media feed fills with pregnancy announcements, baby showers, and smiling family photos. Two completely different life paths appear in front of you, and suddenly it feels like you're supposed to choose one. Career success or motherhood? Growth or family? Ambition or nurturing? But here's the truth most ambitious women quietly discover. The real pressure doesn't come from choosing one path. It comes from feeling like you have to sacrifice part of who you are. And women worry that motherhood will erase their professional identity, that the years they spent studying, building skills, and climbing the ladder might suddenly pause or disappear. And that fear can feel overwhelming, not because women don't want children, but because they don't want to lose themselves. Society often celebrates ambition in women until motherhood enters the conversation. Then the questions begin. Will you still work full-time? Who will take care of the baby? Won't that slow your career down? And suddenly your ambition feels like something that needs to be justified. But ambition doesn't disappear when a woman becomes a mother. If anything, it often becomes stronger. Because now there is someone else you want to build a future for, someone who will watch how you pursue your dreams. Another hidden pressure is timing. Biology whispers one message, career timelines whisper another, and both clocks seem to tick at the same time. Your late 20s become a decade of decisions. Your early 30s become a decade of urgency. And suddenly the question, should I have children, becomes when should I have them? Right now, after the next promotion, after financial stability, after you finally feel ready? But the truth is, very few people ever feel completely ready. Ambitious women often feel like they need everything to be perfect first. The right partner, the right home, the right salary, the right moment in their career. But life rarely waits for perfect timing, and that's where the deepest pressure appears, the fear of making the wrong decision. How do we redefine success to include both ambition and motherhood? Before having children, ambitious women face a pressure that almost nobody talks about. Not from their families, not from their partners, but from the fear of choosing the wrong future. You might hear people say women are waiting too long to have children. But the reality is often much more complicated than that. Many ambitious women are not delaying motherhood because they don't want children. They're delaying because they are trying to build stability. Stability in their careers, stability in their finances, and stability in their relationships. And that makes sense, because raising a child is one of the biggest responsibilities a person can take on. But the pressure comes from feeling like time is moving while the right moment still hasn't fully arrived. You may feel like you are running two races at the same time. One race is building the life you worked so hard for. The other race is the quiet awareness that fertility has its own timeline. And sometimes those two timelines do not move at the same speed. That tension can create an invisible pressure that very few people talk about openly. It's not always fear, and it's not always regret. Sometimes it's simply the weight of knowing that every choice closes certain doors while opening others. And that is a heavy thing to carry quietly, especially when the world expects women to make these decisions perfectly, to get the timing right, the career right, the relationship right, and to somehow do all of it without hesitation. But real life doesn't work like that. Real life is full of uncertainty, unexpected turns, and decisions that are made with incomplete information. And perhaps that is the most important thing to remember. Very few people actually have their lives completely figured out, even when it appears that way from the outside. Behind the surface, many people are simply doing their best with the information they have at the time, and ambitious women are often carrying more internal pressure than anyone realizes. Pressure to succeed professionally, pressure to build a meaningful life, and pressure to make the right personal decisions. That combination can sometimes feel overwhelming. The confident colleague at work, the friend who already has children, or the person who seems certain about their choices. But there is something very important that is often forgotten in these conversations. Your life is not a race against other people's timelines, and it is not a test where every decision must be perfect. Your life is a path, one that unfolds step by step, and every thoughtful decision you make is part of building that path. So if you are an ambitious woman thinking about motherhood, know that you are not alone in these reflections. Many women quietly ask the same questions about timing, about identity, and about how to build a life that includes both purpose and family. If this reflection resonated with you, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Sometimes sharing our reflections helps others realize they are not alone. Ambition can build a career, but reflection builds a life.